Hello and welcome to the Spaghetti Junction podcast. My name is Bruce,
My name's Gareth.
and we talk about things we just don't know where they're going to go.
No,
Another week has gone past, and we are on a different day doing the podcast because of Gareth's new job. We've had to move things around.
That's right. Yep.
And
Oh,
Gareth is a
hospitality
lot happier.
hours are always up and down, but especially on weekends, it's just crazy. So right now there's a one off day, which is a Monday that supposedly may change soon. So we'll see. But right now, yeah.
Okay.
Right now we doing the Mondays, and I was actually interested. I mean, not interested. I was actually find it pretty interesting that there was quite a big viewership on our last episode about the farms and stuff, because I was like, look, you know, it's very topical, but like,
yes,
how many are going to go and sit down and say, yeah, no, I want to listen. I want to really know more about the farms, and obviously people do. So, you know,
that's cool. Yeah, I think we made the right decision doing something that was very topical, happening right there and then. And let's see where that goes. It's still going to be an issue.
It goes. Speaking of seeing where things go, November. So we've just obviously gone through November, and that makes that basically. Give me a chance here. We started this podcast November the 19th, 2020. So it's just gone over 4 years.
Wow.
Since we first sat down in my lounge. Sorry, in the actual kitchen.
Yes.
And we started our podcast that was only audio at that point.
It was only audio,
and
yes.
It was only audio for the first 49 episodes. So yeah, we've been now. Bear in mind, obviously, with me moving here to New Zealand, we didn't do as many podcasts as normal. I think in the first year it was more hit and miss than anything else. Maybe no, at least the first 6 to 8 months it was a lot quieter. At least 6 months. So I mean, if we had been doing it every week as normal, then we would be over 150, 160 episodes. But the fact, though, that sure, in a year it's not as busy as our first 3 years, if that makes sense. But still, the fact that the idea came up and that we sat down and began, hey, let's get it going, kind of thing. Yeah, that's a bit over 4 years ago that we
that's crazy.
Sat down. I was like, episode number 1, and that was just beware adults at play or something along those kind of lines.
Yes, and we did. We would record 2 episodes on the same day.
When we did audio, yes, we did actually. We were dangerous.
2 episodes in one shot. You're like, what? What are we thinking?
Well, it was easier though.
But then and then we didn't.
When we had to film it, that was the more difficult part.
Yeah.
So I mean, audio wise, it's a lot easier because you literally sit down, chat, break, find another topic, sit, chat, break, kind of thing.
Yeah. So the once the video came in, everything had to. I remember we had the growing pains and the sort of the issues when it came to the video and the editing and file size and all of that stuff. Yeah.
This way it's so much easier. We just go press record and go.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Technology, man. Technology.
Technology. Yeah, so we're last week was our 141st episode. So I mean, if you think about it, in 4 years, it's about 35, 40 episodes a year, which is not bad at all, to be honest. It's been fun, but yeah, 4 years.
Yes.
Fun and games.
I didn't even. Yeah.
Wow. Fun and games. So I went to comedy, which was mentioned
yes, you did
last week. and hilarious.
Yeah, did he? Yeah, you said so
Brad,
he delivered. He delivered
what's his
exactly
name
what
again?
you, Brad Williams.
Brad Williams. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh no, he did. It was and he went for an hour and 15 minutes, which for someone to remember all their stuff, all their jokes,
That's
everything for an hour and 15 minutes, really good. And he is exactly as he is from what you know, well, like watched him online kind of thing.
yeah.
Very genuine, very real. Such a real character that he stayed behind to meet anybody who wanted to stay and meet him until the very last person left. I couldn't stay because I went to
Okay.
go, and wait in the line. I would have been in the line for easily an hour, and I
Oh, really?
literally, oh yeah, easily. Because I mean, there was about, there was a few. I don't know how many filled that place. About 1,000 or something, maybe less than 1,000. Anyways, the point being that the majority of people stayed to meet him, and he would
Right.
stay there until the very last person left, which is
That's
quite
cool.
something. Not, I would imagine, not a huge amount of celebrities, especially, but in comedy, for example, if someone would actually stay, he must have been there for at least another 2 hours easily. So where you just to basically meet him, and shake his hand, and and you could buy some merch from him, but like literally you didn't have to buy anything from him. You could just go and meet him and take a photo with him. I really wanted to, but going on with the time and it would have been just way too late, and also the parking hourly rate there is insane. I think it was like $36 just for bloody parking. It was crazy, but it was worth it. It was really, really good. The first the opening act wasn't bad. It was a local person. He was good, but I found myself like halfway through, like, okay, let's wrap it up, kind of thing. Not because I mean, yes, I wanted to see Brad Williams for sure, but it just wasn't. I was funny, but it was like, okay, fine, let's go. But yeah, it was brilliant. It was really, really good. He's very funny. He's very quick. We had one person trying to be the heckler who didn't last more than about 5 seconds. So that was fun. But no, it's good. It was very good. He's great because, I mean, he knows his size, and he knows that obviously is the, or not the elephant in the room, but you know what I mean? It's like, yes, he's a small person. Let's go with it, kind of thing. No, but he didn't only play, but he didn't only utilize that. He just used his like normal day-to-day who he is. Very, very good. And he was like really, that was his first time in Australia and New Zealand, and he said it's just been crazy how amazing it's been, and he will be back, which I know he will be back. So
cool.
Really, really good.
Did he do any? Was any of his show sort of New Zealand specific or not really? Because sometimes these comedians will sort of really integrate whatever country and culture they're in. They'll sort of integrate that into their show. Did he do that or not really?
Yeah, he did. Especially when he began. Yeah. Yep. He pulled on things like how everything seems so tailored for him. For example, Hobbit Town.
Oh, like
stuff
perfect.
like that. It's like no, yeah, exactly. But no, we're really, really good. And he chatted about about the wildlife and about us having like not that many bugs, and so yes, he did incorporate it into it.
Cool.
As much as he could, if that makes sense.
Right.
And what was nice is that I only heard 2 jokes out of the whole hour and 15 minutes. And the rest, which is really, really good in the sense where, like, if you've been watching his his shows on Netflix, etc., etc., there's a
Yeah.
lot of material. This
Yeah.
one, majority, all brand spanking new stuff,
Brilliant.
which is really good. You know what I mean? You don't expect to go to a show where you can like literally like know 9 out of 10 jokes kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah, so it's
Brilliant.
good. It was definitely worthwhile. And comedy, it's just really great. It's just really good being in a space where you can just sit there and just laugh yourself. And also hearing different people's laugh style.
Mm.
Also, yeah, very, very
Okay.
different. But no, it's fun. It was
Nice.
good. Definitely worthwhile. And if he does come back, I'm definitely going again.
Cool.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, he is funny. He's good at it.
Yeah. Oh,
Cool.
and the only other cool news, really, well, only other cool news, like breaking news for me here in New Zealand, is that so Eden Park obviously is the main stadium in New Zealand.
Yeah.
You know, size wise, you know, it's the nation's leading stadium. Up till a few months ago, we couldn't get as many live concerts out here because it was written into the municipal bylaws, blah blah blah, that Eden Park can only host up to 6 shows a year, and that was it.
Okay.
And it's been like needed to have been changed for years. There's been not protests, but you know, what's it called when you're like writing up, when you like send in your signatures and whatever?
Oh, petition.
Yes. And there's been a lot of them. So it got to a point about a week ago, and now it's now been approved that there'll be up to 12, allowed to have up to 12 shows a year, which is big.
Oh, cool.
Which is really,
Nice.
really big. Yeah. So that's
Okay.
exciting. Yeah. So we should be
Brilliant.
getting in a few more live shows.
Nice.
And it's like always a laugh because it's like, so you bought your house next to Eden Park. What did you expect was going to happen every few weekends? It's not like you bought your house and then Eden Park was built on top of it. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
But if you do live next to a stadium, you're going to have some noise happening every few weekends. You know what I mean? It's like if you're living near a school and there, you know, and there a break bell, you know, loud break, raucous bell goes off. What, you're going to ask the school to shut the hell up and close down? No, you're living next to the school.
Yeah.
You're going to expect some noise. So if you're living next to Eden Park or to Soccer City or to the O2 Arena, there's going to be noise. Otherwise, just don't buy a house there.
Yeah, it's the same as buying a house near to in an area where there's a pub and they have live music. You know, it's the same thing. That music's going to carry. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, you bought the house.
The only thing with the live shows though is that there is a cutoff time though. I think it's at most stadiums. I think you've got to be done by 11 o'clock. Anything over 11 o'clock is not allowed. Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, anyways, so that's exciting. Hopefully, we'll see who comes next year.
Cool.
I think I was going to say Linkin Park, but they're doing like a bunch of worldwide shows, but not a lot. As in, like, even in America, they've only played in 2 cities. That's all they're doing. So if they're only doing that in America, it's going to take a while for them to like actually appear further than like South America and Europe kind of thing. So but that'll be awesome whenever that happens.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'll
be jealous of
anyways, that's going to be a huge show. All I want to see is Machine Gun Kelly, which most people I know think is actually like.
Oh, you've cut your audio. There you go.
Sorry, I lost myself there.
There we go. You're back. All good.
Hold on. I've now lost my audio. Give me a chance, people. I'm just going to try and play with my audio here. What is going on? Give me a chance.
I can definitely still hear you.
Give me a chance. I'll be back. I can't hear myself. Hold on.
Well, guys. Well, Gareth is. Oh, there he goes.
Right.
He's coming back.
Okay. I can't hear myself. I can't. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I can't hear you. So that's the great part about this. Apologies, people. This is all teething.
Oh, there we go. Hello.
Right. Try that.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. There he's back. He's back. I don't know what
Okay.
happened there. Anyways, without further ado, I brought up this topic, Mike Todd / Rockstar Pastors, just because what got me. I mean, we've been. I would imagine if you're in the Christian community, or even like are aware of churches and big churches, whatever, that there are certain churches that have these certain larger than life pastors, who can be like a little bit over the top and raucous, and and that obviously draws in other people from celebrities, statuses and so forth,
Yes.
who will join the church because of a certain pastor. That happens, for example, with Carl Lentz. We did it on Carl Lentz. I think we did a thing on Carl Lentz episodes back. Anyway.
We lost you again, dude.
Yeah. What's wrong?
It just sounds like there's a little bit of a connection thing. Are your headphones plugged in properly to
Yeah, that's
your?
fine. That's fine.
Okay. No, every now and then there's a little bit of a cutout.
Okay.
It's weird.
And now?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay, good. Carrying on. Carrying on to this conversation. Yeah, it's a celebrity style kind of pastoring.
Yeah.
Where, for example, Carl Lentz, he was involved in Hillsong, the Hillsong Church. I think it was the New York one. I can't remember exactly which one it was.
It
Anyway,
was New York. Yes.
New York, very big pastor. He fell, from family stuff. But I mean, he drew in a lot of people who would go to that church would be going to, for example, for Carl Lentz stake. There's another church with the pastor called Stephen Furtick, I think his name is, who's also larger than life. A lot of people will go because he's there. Another one, but he's not really in the same style. But there's a pastor called Louis Giglia. But people will go towards that church, but because of his preaching style, because he's just a phenomenal preacher. But but none of the focus is on Louis. It's not all around Louis. It's around the church. It's around God, and that church has done it really, really well. Even though Louis Giglio has quite a following, the church has done it in such a way that they move focus away from the individual and more onto God, which is what it's meant to be at church.
Yeah.
So Mike Todd, I've just been very much aware of him for a while. I have watched some of his sermons, and he's a very if you would think of a front man for like a big band, and that front man kind of character mentality, who just like is out there, brings in people, riles them up, gets them going, gets them involved, and he's very good at that. What really drew me to, or brought me to wanting to chat about this in the podcast, was recently his church, which is Transformation Church. They released a new, yeah, yeah, a new, a new praise and worship album, basically.
Yeah.
Um, um, but the way that it was launched was
Yes.
like, okay, now I need to really look back at. It was very, very over the top. We had and then I will show parts of it, but what got me, which is when I said, "Hey, Bruce, look at this." Part of their launch was in their church service. Part of it was a Tesla Cybertruck rolling
Yes.
down the middle of the church aisle.
Yeah.
The show was very what I would see as an MTV Music Award kind of show. Very,
Oh yeah.
very much
Absolutely.
like completely. Um, so I guess like a lot of questions that came to me was like, is that over the top? Is it okay to do that in church? Is it not okay because like music was made by God? Now fair enough, not all music is of God. But it just like made me question. And then I really looked a bit into Mike Todd as well, and some of his him and Transformation Church have actually been um, in controversy of some sorts for off and on for quite a while, for
Yeah.
a few years.
Yeah.
And it just made me really look more into Mike Todd and to question, um, like, are his is the way that he approaches God and approaches church and approaches the biblical teachings, is that stuff the way that he's doing it, is it okay? Just because it's Mike Todd's style. So, or is it like you're kind of pushing things a bit too far? And I think that's what
Yeah.
I wanted to discuss it a little bit. And then where you're coming from as well, which is good as well. And just in general, is the mentality of where a church can get so big or too big for its boots, literally,
Yeah.
that they allow their central focus move away from God and become the head pastor. And
Yeah.
that's I'm finding that's the problem. And the
Yeah.
biggest problem out of all of that is when there's no sense um, of overarching leadership over the head pastor. That's when it becomes hugely problematic.
Yeah.
Is when the head pastor can say and do what he feels he can say because there's no one really given the authority with/over him to say, okay, hold on, before you do that kind of thing, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Where a big church like a Transformation Church, the focus, if they like it or not, the focus has definitely gone and been allowed to be on Mike Todd as in the face of Transformation Church. So if you're going to
Yeah.
Transformation Church, you're going because Mike Todd's there. And it's almost like
Yeah.
you're going to, it's like I would go to, I don't know, a concert somewhere because that artist is there. That's the only reason, So, and I guess the question is like, where should it get to a point where you should say, okay, this is not healthy. This is not healthy for church life.
Yeah.
And also the question that I have, and then I'll, give give you the space as well.
Yeah.
Is also like how does a church stop it getting to the point where they realize, oh my gosh, the head pastor is just bigger than us. Like even if we try and rein them in, we can't,
Yeah.
or extremely difficult to because of the I was going to say mantra about him, but it's not really a word. It's the almost like the authority that they've given him. So when you've been given a high level of authority to
Yeah.
get it, to be able to give it back or to get it back from that person is a heck of a lot harder, especially when thousands and I would just hundreds of thousands, let's just say a huge amount of people are sold into the church being this head pastor. If you're
Yeah.
going to now try and rein in this head pastor, now you've got to also answer to the thousands of people who have unfortunately invested, who have basically been sold into the head pastor being the main focus of the church and not the church and God being the main focus. And I think that's
Yeah.
what's happened with Mike Todd.
Yeah.
That and this is like, I came into this, the main, my thing was like, okay, Mike Todd, over the top, ridiculous, cancel, 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 cancel. But the more that I was looking into it, there's the other side where it's like, well, can someone just be overzealous that they just do things slightly differently? That if you look at it, it's like, yeah, that was not the wisest thing, the wisest way which you could have done it, but I can see his heart behind it. And this is where I sit between, like, the first
Yeah.
thing was like, the stuff he's doing, it's just like, where is God in it? The more
Yeah.
that I looked into it, it's like, well, I can see the direction of a certain sermon that he was doing. I could see what he was trying to do, but the way that he did it
Yeah.
totally rocked boats and totally unsettled people, a certain amount of people, which I can understand why. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like where I'm in the point. So it's definitely focused around Mike Todd, which is where we are right now. And obviously, just in general, this whole Rockstar mentality of certain churches and the problems that it has. And that is my intro.
um yeah, with my whole thing is with these kind of guys, whether it's Mike Todd or any, or okay, let's focus on Mike Todd because that's what you're talking about. When when a when a pastor, especially for like a big church or whatever, whenever I start seeing um, gimmicks being a little bit more widely employed, like I think the one thing I saw, he had a trampoline in the church, and he was busy bouncing on the trampoline and doing all this kind of stuff while he was trying to preach. I wasn't, or the one where he's sort of pouring syrup all over syrup all over the stage, and like and that kind of thing,
Yeah, yeah.
just
I
to
was going
get,
to bring that up. Yeah.
that. Yeah, I, yeah. If you start thinking you need to rely on gimmicks to maybe get people in the doors or get people talking about you, I think you're kind of starting to miss the point a little bit. I'm all for if you're a small church and you want to grow your church and grow and bring more people in, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But when you when you think that you have to resort to those types of things instead of giving it over to God and saying, Lord, I really want to grow my church, and you're doing it in the right way, I don't think you'd need to use those gimmicks. And I think
Sure.
if you're in the right place, if your heart is in the right place and you genuinely want to bring people in, yes, okay, more people does mean more income for the church, and a lot of churches are big
That's the problem.
business, you
Yeah.
know, and so yes, we can expand and we can have more money to have a nicer building or nicer resources, and that. But that's where you got to be very careful that the focus doesn't become that. And you're like, my first focus is to get people in the door because I want to tell them about Christ. I want to tell them about being
Yeah.
saved, and making sure that your teaching and what you're saying from the pulpit actually lines up with what is biblical. And what concerns me, and I've had this in the past where I've sat in churches. It hasn't happened often, but I've had this experience where you've got the main pastor and he's up there, and firstly you get that sense of a little bit of a rock star attitude, like he just comes over as like he's really working on being like hip and relevant, which is fine. But then there's that in the way he comes across when he's preaching. It almost seems like there's a lack of reverence for God's word. And when you see clips of, or you see things of Mike Todd talking about how he's like, studying this is tedious. I don't like to study this. I want to just go off, just go off the top of my head when I'm talking about this. I'm like, dude, that's concerning. Like, you're a pastor, you're leading thousands of people, and you find studying the word of God tedious? Like, why did you get started with this? And those kinds of things, and just sort of almost like a slightly flippant attitude towards.
That's a good word to use.
Which is like, and I had, I would sit there and they would just say one little thing, and I'm like, oh, hold on a sec, whoa, that's just, and look, you know what, look, we can't stand in judgment. I mean, look, I'm not even going to church at the moment, so I can't, get on any sort of flippant high horse and that. But it's sort of, it was quite easy to pick up on that. And you're like, okay, hold on, you're just watch yourself, buddy, a little bit, because that was, and they say, and then unfortunately you do get that even in a smaller sort of church that isn't really a mega church, you do start finding the pastor gets sort of a little bit more elevated above everyone else. I always I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I always see it as soon as I see that the pastor's got his own parking space with his name on the parking space, I'm like, that's like, geez, the beginning of the end, kind of thing. I'm like, what makes you so special?
I'm going to quickly play from that one sermon which you mentioned of the trampoline, just as a interest as to just as an example from what you were bringing up. I thought it'd be good.
I got a word. Went to Transformation Church today, and boy,
it's just hard to imagine this guy being a Christian.
That was that is funny.
I did check out this guy that you just played, this guy's podcast. Oh, there you go.
Sorry. So I did actually want to play that part. I thought that was actually going to be on a different I thought that it was actually going to break it down. But this is a whole nother podcast episode, so I won't go there. But yes, he did a whole thing when he basically bounced around, and and he used that. You were talking about also about there was a time also when he did I'll pull it up actually on my phone because it's just easier to read from my side. So he did so he's done a lot of sermons. Some of them have been controversial, which is why like his name's out there a lot more than another person. But I want to go with the first thing which he said, which is true, is that I think reverence is sometimes lost there, with him. He did a thing where so I'm just going to read a little bit about it, but he did a thing where he was trying to make a point about the body being a temple, and what you do on the inside, what happens to you internally is a lot more important, than what others can, than what's happening on the outside, if that makes sense. So from what people can see, it really matters what's going on with you and God and stuff like that. he did an illustration where he poured syrup and whipped cream on the Bible, on the communion elements, on things like that, and obviously that caused shock. He does a thing also where he likes the shock value because it gets people to rile up and then go, oh, and then they all hug him, kind of thing. He did it. He says that he did it to show that basically how much more members should care about their bodies, which are the temples of the Holy Spirit. He said pretty much that you all stop acting like you care about this. He said, why do you care about that? These symbols of Christianity when it's not even the place where the Holy Spirit is dwelling. He said, I'm the temple of the Holy Spirit. So his point was trying to get people to realize, if you're so worried about what's in front of you, that's like it's a book and it's elements which is based on God. But if you're so worried about that, what are you doing with yourself every single day of the week in church and out of church? What are you doing in your own temple? So he has certain ways of doing it. Now, obviously, I think the majority of people, when they see that, it's like, to make that kind of a point, can you, smear syrup and cream and everything crazy over? Sure, they're not physical. It's not God physically. The Bible is not God physically. Physical. The wafers and the grape juice are not God physically, but it's what they hold. It's what they mean. So there's the two sides. That the one side is, well, it's only plastic little cups and wafer biscuits and grape juice and paper.
Yes.
That's he's smearing things on.
Yeah.
The other side is like, but it's what they hold. It's the day. It's the actual meaning to what the Bible holds. That going over the top and basically just shoving nonsense all over the Bible. Spiritually, is that right? Is that going to draw in people to the church and not the church? Even if you are not Christian or you are a Christian, is there too much? Is there too much? Or what he's trying to say is, are we putting on too much worth on a physical thing, on a piece of paper? Are we putting so much respect or so much effort and concern and respect that we freak out if you're doing something like that to the Bible? I don't know. To me personally, if that had happened, I probably would have walked out. I don't even think I would have lost it. Just because it's like maybe what he's trying to do in his own mind makes sense, but it's like the cross, for example. It's a physical, it's not the cross that Jesus died on, but it's still, it refers back to the original cross. So what you do to the cross relates to your spiritual walk. What you're doing with the Bible relates to your spiritual walk. And I think that's been a big issue. He did that, for example. That was a massive thing. He also did a thing. He's done multiple things. One of the other things which got people leaving the church, which is when he rips on them for leaving the church. It was the message on where Jesus spat on his hands, and rubbed them, and then put them on the blind person's eyes, and they were healed. He did that, but like literally that, and put them on the person's eyes, and obviously a lot of people were like, so he actually had to get to a point where he actually had to apologize for doing that, not because it was wrong. It was just, as he put it, it was gross. The question from all of, and then obviously, and there's more, and one of the other reasons, things that that we were bringing up that I do want to show quickly, because our times are almost going really, really fast, so maybe I won't show it. But he did a whole church launch of the which I mentioned, of their new worship album.
Yes.
But the show itself, we won't really have enough time, it seems. But it was very over the top, very much like if you didn't know it was church, you would have no idea.
Yeah. I think I get they definitely, some of these guys definitely just push that. They push the hype a little bit too far, and I think the other thing that I get a bit concerned with if I'm sitting in a a sermon or whatever, and I would sort of let it go because I thought that was the whole vibe. But now if I think back to it, especially when you're in a sermon and they start appealing more to emotion and the emotional aspects of the entire experience maybe gets pushed a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Because emotion is a very strong thing, and you can very easily most people are very emotional, and you can tap into that, and sometimes it's almost like a little bit, it's like too much. Like, okay, let's just rein this in here and let's get back to, because that always and then that sort of can up the hype as well a bit. And what I also know, what my thing also was, when I watch Mark Todd and when I watch him in preaching and that kind of thing, it's very based on your, like, a lot of it seems to be based on a lot of your Southern Baptist style of preaching within your, like, the Southern Baptist black communities and the way they worship and the way they have their church, and that's fine. Worship God however you like, as long as your heart's right. God will see that as your worship. And if you're going to go, and that is all about, it's, you've got the organ playing throughout the preaching and stuff like that, and then people break into song in the middle of the sermon, and but it's almost like someone like Mike Todd takes that, but he takes it to the absolute extreme, and so it's more hype than anything else, and that's where it gets concerning for me. And it's like, and it really does come down to, is your preaching correct and biblical doctrine? Because if you're not, you're leading people astray, and you're going to be held accountable for it. And that's where if you're in any sort of church leadership, you have to be so careful of that, because you can get caught up in the you are elevated, you are the leader, people are looking to you, you're up there, you're on stage, you're commanding attention. That in itself is very attractive, because people gravitate towards that. People gravitate towards people who perform on stage. Doesn't matter if you're a musician or a friggin' pastor. And I think, so, and then you start, like we start seeing the church growing. We start seeing the bottom line increasing in the account books, and you're like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And I think that's where you've got to be so careful if you're in leadership. And that's why it's so good to have, like you were saying, people who's overseeing the pastor. If the pastor is top of the food chain, who's he accountable to when it comes to that kind of stuff? And when you start pouring syrup all over the Bible, you got to have group of guys around you going, pastor, we need to have a talk about this kind of thing. Or why, how much of church resources did that album launch take that could have been used in a much more practical and giving way you know, you know, all that kind of thing. You know, you could have spent that money in a much better way to help a lot of people, to expose them to the word of God, or all that kind of thing, or maybe, or don't go to so much extremes just to make a point in a sermon. And that when it starts, like I said, when it starts getting too gimmicky, it's like, why do you feel you have to resort to those types of gimmicks? If your preaching was solid, God's hand would be on that, and his message would get across. You wouldn't need the gimmick, because God would be working. You know, that's the thing.
Well,
So
there's a side that'll say, well, it's bringing people into the church that would not normally go to church. It would bring in, especially the younger generation that are drawn in by.
I get that.
The more creative, the more the more like social media, artistic kind of a vibe. So there is a side that will say, well, it's helping the church because it's bringing people in that normally wouldn't want to go to church. That's one side of the things. My concern. So I mean, I'm not sure if I agree or disagree. I mean, I think it's always good if people are coming in to meet with God, and they haven't been there before. But that's the underlying factor for me. They're coming in to meet God, not coming in to meet the pastor. But then the other question, a question is, but can God still use, in fact, God still uses, can God still, or we can say he can because he has, I don't know, can God still use somebody who is a bit like a Mike Todd kind of character? So over the top, a little bit crazy, doing stuff that gets a lot of objections, but can God still use someone like that? Or will it come to a point where God's like, all right, enough is enough, and they end up leaving the church for whatever reason. So like, for example, like Carl Lentz, for example, was the stuff that, my feelings is that the stuff that happened with him that got him kicked out of the church, and a Mike Todd that may get him kicked out of the church, is possibly so focused on them showing themselves as the face of the church that they actually begin to look away from what's happening on their own doorstep. And is that a possible way why pastors fall, why churches break? Because they put so much focus on the pastor, and the pastor now goes, look, I can guarantee you, because this whole thing about worship and so forth, how we as humans are made to worship. And the problem is, what you can see with God in church, or for example, if you're going to a live show, if you're watching, you worship a certain character. So if a pastor begins to get worship, your human side, your human nature, if you accept it or not, is going to be like, oh, wow, this feels awesome. Yeah. Let's go. Let's bring it on. And you can literally get so washed in that you begin to lose focus of actually what you're there for. And possibly that is one of the reasons why these big name pastors fall, because they've lost sight completely. They've lost track completely of what they were actually brought into the church to do, of exactly what God had given their character and their skills to do. They've lost track of that because now it's all because, oh wow, I like feeling worship. It's really, really nice. And I think even if you try not to like it, it's a human thing. Unless God's running your ship, it's a natural human thing to be like, oh wow. And you begin to lose track of actually what you're there to do, which is to bring the focus onto God, and not on yourself, not even on the church, because the church is just a building. If the focus and the view, and if people are mostly talking about the church or the pastor, and there's not much of a communication about God in there, that's the problem. And I think, I don't know, I feel that's where pastors will fall. I feel that's where the issues will happen, because
Yeah.
I don't know how God thinks. Obviously, I don't. But I would feel like, okay, you know what? This is moving away from what I've actually planned for this church, or planned for you to do in the church, and you're going
Yeah.
completely track with it, because now the focus is on
Mm.
you, not on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna have to somehow move this along one way, that you just had to realize, okay, crap, it's not about me.
Yeah. I think just to answer the first question that you had is like, even if someone is like off track, can God still use them? And I think God can. God can use anybody. And we've seen all through the Bible, there have been Bible characters, people that we know of, who have been way worse than Mike Todd or Brian Houston or whatever, that God has used for incredible things through the Bible. Just think of David and all the screw ups that David made, and God still used him in amazing ways.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, God can definitely do that, I think. But remember also, the Bible tells us to have, God gives us a spirit of discernment, and we've got to be we as just the people being, attending church, if we do attend church, which I don't at the moment, but anyway, but when you're sitting there, you've got to really go. You can't just go in blind. And it says, I mean, even the Bible says, test the word that is being preached, and so you've got to sit there and you've got to be like, okay, cool. I'm listening to this. I'm trying out a new church. I'm listening to this pastor. It's one of the main things you've got to do, is sit there and you go, okay, let's listen to what this guy's saying. Is this lining up biblically? And a lot of times, if you've got any sort of that, just a little bit of discernment, certain things come out, and you go, you suddenly have this little reaction, like your gut goes, oh, hang on a minute, that didn't quite line up with things that I've been taught that I know are correct. That kind of thing. Or you can sit there and be listening to someone and just have complete peace about what is being said. And you're like, yeah, there's nothing really going on that's giving you that sort of gut check. But you have to be quite conscious as your own individual of going, okay, let's just be aware of that and not just get caught up, especially if maybe the sermon is getting a little bit emotional or whatever. You just sort of try and put that away, and and just make sure that stuff is correct, that's being preached.
The thing with what you're saying about, yes, God can use somebody, for example, David. But now here's how he could use David, though. David saw what he did was wrong.
Yeah.
And he repented from that.
Right.
That's when God could use him further. And unless you are fine, so unless when you can see, okay, that wasn't right, I screwed up on this side. Crap. All right. I screwed up. I'm sorry. Where can I get better? God, use me from this broken state. That's when God can use somebody.
Okay.
So 100%. There are biblical characters where God has used the broken and the fallen.
Yeah.
But the reasoning is because they chose to repent.
Yes.
They chose to realize that what they had done is wrong. Because, like, I mean, like I'm David could have been like, well, I don't see why it was so wrong that I sent out.
Yeah.
Her
husband to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is David. This is like the ultimate king, the guy who wrote Psalms, who in his human nature, obviously, because he's human, he isn't God. Even though people think, oh my God, David in the Psalms, he's a king. He was human.
Yeah.
But the fact that he would think, okay, I'm going to send Bathsheba's, what is it? No. Who was she again?
I can't remember, actually. It was Bathsheba's husband. Yeah, he sent him to the front lines. Yeah.
So to him, though, at that point, because like in the middle of where all he saw at that point was lust, and was just like, oh my gosh, this woman is it. I would imagine that she also would be like, oh my gosh, it's David, it's King David, so amazing, it's wonderful. He must have been like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I feel part of it could also be like a mini worship thing, like, oh my gosh, I'm King. Yeah, that's right. I'm King David. Yeah, baby, that's right.
Yeah,
and that all got morphed, and lust, obviously, with that all got merged in, where you would think as a King David would never ever would normally not think about, hey, let me how do I get this woman for me for the rest, how do I get her? I'm going to send her husband into war, not just in the army, but at the front line where I know people are going to die.
Where it's worst. Yes, yeah.
And that I know it's going to happen. Why? Because he was human and he got lost into this whole, possibly part of it, that he got worshipped. He got lost into the thing where the focus was totally on him and not on God. But the fact, though, that he repented it and said, you know what, that was just absolutely like God, I've got nothing else to say. That's when God used him. God used him more. But if he had said, like, you know what, I don't see a problem with that. Well,
things would have turned out
we
differently.
wouldn't have the story of King David that we have now. There's just no chance whatsoever. So
No, you make a very good point, I must say. Yeah. So well, we'll see. Maybe I don't know. We'll see what happens with Mike Todd.
I mean, and I like how we're going, that it's not just the Mike Todd. I mean, there have been, and there will be,
yes,
it's and there will be more. And there's a lot of churches out there that put so much focus and like everything about the actual church pastor, where people will go to that church, like for example, Hillsong for a long time was like, like you would go to Brian Houston and Darlene Checks there and everything like that, and the focus. A lot of people will go to various churches because it's been more focused. So, for example, on this Mike Todd, so he was an example. The reason, I mean, we are way over time, so that's fine. I want to just play two quick clips around Mike Todd that we don't really have to talk about too much, just for like, some like more input, like I said, like more. This one here is a very short one, just basically about a few things that we have discussed and one or two little things that we haven't, just about Mike Todd, stuff that he said or done that's a bit like, and then I just want to like play a little bit of the church launch of their album launch, just so people can also have a view of what it looks like. So give me a quick second. I'm just going to pull up one of them, this one here, and somewhere there should be a playback.
Here are 6 crazy Mike Todd moments. He poured syrup over the Bible.
Syrup all over the communion, over the Bible too. Yo, stop acting like you care about this.
He puts gimmicks like this in his sermons.
Actually, gonna do something.
He loves entertaining people.
No, I don't. No, not this black thing. Today is watermelon. Use my cake.
Here's another unserious gimmick.
You're laughing, but I just sent somebody money.
His reason for buying super expensive clothes.
And so part of what I've always tried to do is use my fashion to make a doorway for my faith.
His view of sin.
So I said, we're going to go to the edge on this. And they said, Pastor, how far on the edge are we going to go? I said, we're going to do everything short of sin.
I think that says, let's wrap it up. And then I'll just play a little bit of that Mike Todd, of that concert thing, just so people have an idea. Obviously way longer, but you know what? Whatever.
God doesn't need gimmicks.
Nope.
And God does not need emotional hype in order for people to come to him.
Nope.
And yeah, I think, and if yeah, he can do anything, as long as, if you're a pastor watching this and you're wondering how to grow your church, God will do anything, as long as he knows that your heart is in the right place and you're not putting yourself first. And even if you are, seeing your church grow in a lot of ways, let this be a reminder that, God is not a respecter of persons. It says it in Acts. God doesn't respect you. You're not special. You're just a sinner, just like everyone else. And you just, stay in your lane and do your thing. You've been asked to do something very important. Been given a lot of responsibility, and be careful. Otherwise,
Well,
you don't want to turn into Mark Todd.
I think you already nailed it when you said your church. That's the problem. When the pastor gets to a point where he says, "This is my church,"
Yeah,
there's an
you're
issue.
right.
Because it's not his
Yes, there you
church.
go.
It's
It's
not
not
his
your
church.
church, bro. Yeah,
It's
you're
not
right.
a human. It's not a human being's church.
It's not. No,
That's the problem. As
you
soon
are.
as you start
You are
hearing
a.
that, then it's
Yeah,
done. Then you're
you're a
toast.
custodian. You're a
Yeah.
custodian and you're a steward, but you're not.
Yes.
But it's not yours.
No. No. Exactly. And I mean, and the bottom line is, it's a building as well.
Yeah.
And even if the building falls apart, the thing that still must remain is God, and that's the biggest thing about it. So, anyways,
Yeah. Awesome.
A lot longer than normal, but I mean, it did
Yeah.
take a while to get going, and we had sound issues and
All
blah blah
good.
blah. But,
It's a good chat.
if you did last this long, well done. It's a miracle in itself. Yeah, I just want to finish off with that little clip of when he did this beginning of the album launch. Now, yeah, just so whoever's watching or listening can get a view of it, like you can make up your own mind.
Okay. Well, I'll do
But
the.
yeah,
I'll do the.
yes, because
Yeah.
the bottom line, though, I think hopefully what comes out of all of this is that if the focus is not on God, that's the problem.
Yeah. Pretty much. Well, this has been the Spaghetti Junction podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
We will. See ya.
Awesome. See you guys. Bye.
In a way that proves you believe him today. It don't take faith when it happens. That took facts. But faith is praising God in advance before it happens. So I need about 2,500 people in the room and about 10,000 online to give God the praise you gonna give him when it actually happens. Oh, is that how you gonna act? Give him the praise he deserves. Hallelujah. I'm just gonna live in the overflow. Come on. I want to tell them what's on your heart.
They 2000 EST. That's that OCOEE. Go talk to the king. Go get you some peace.
I think he done said the most already. We good. Hey,
Dante.
look, we done already said it. Pastor Mike already said it. We just trying to live in a overflow.
Whoa, that ain't me talking. That's the Holy Ghost. Come and get the bag. Give it back. Put a seed. The crazy thing about the Overflow remix is I heard this song Overflow by Dante Pride after we wrote the song Overflow. And I got on FaceTime. I found his number through Instagram. I DM'd him. I was like, bro, hit me up. And I literally said, before we even had put out Overflow, the song, I knew we were going to do this song as a remix. And I said, bro, I want to do this song. He was like, I'm down, like whatever, da, da, da. It's almost been 2 years. And this is a beautiful picture of just waiting on God. Dante is and his beautiful wife have been just so phenomenal. And I was like, we're going to do this song now. It's going to come out on this record. But I want to get a couple of people to do the second verse. And two of my favorite rappers right now in all of the world and in Christian music is Alex Jean and Caleb Gordon. And they actually all came unexpectedly to Easter last year, brought their wives. We were able to spend some time together. And I was like, y'all want to stay over one day? Because we about to be in the studio. And this is after Ransom. We done 5 nights of overnight doing all this stuff. And they were like, we down. And they went to the lab and spit like bars and bars and bars and bars. Like we literally had to like search through it because it was so much fire. And when we put Dante, Caleb Gordon, Alex Jean on this song called Overflow, it went to a whole nother level. And I just want to declare over your life that the season of lack, the season of just enough, the season of barely making it is over. We are declaring that this season, who needs to receive this right now, is about to be a season of overflow. Shout it out. Say overflow. I'm talking about in your business, in your mind, in your health, in your relationships, in your finances, in your friendships.
That ain't me talking, that's the Holy Ghost. Go and get the bag, give it back for the seed to grow. Lord, I'm talking rags that won't fit inside the envelope. I just thought that you should know I'm living in the overflow. Don't know what I'm talking about. Trying to put my grandchildren in a mega how they know that overflow. Not just trying to make it out. We gon' have some problem, but the money we ain't worried about that no straight. Trying to hit the mall up and ball on my wife. See a homeless man on the street and change his life. Running to you when utilities pay for your life. Buy your brand new whip. No more traveling on the pipe. Money came by door by the whip, my crying in a Rari. You ain't really a boss unless your family is your squatty. I'ma make some shake, cause I got Yeshua, boy. We about to
Yeshua, boy. Crazy that this is church, yeah. In the middle of church.
Yeah.
There we go. This is half a track.
I just know that you should know I'm living in the run it up, you can't finish up. Yeah, I'm living in the hey, y'all make some noise for my brother, Alex G. Hey, can't you see how we flow like the water? Okay, you're gonna have to with it, son. He gave me the juice like a charger, so I gave it to you. And he healing